Sean here with BaseMint Comics. It's Wednesday, April 29th. Last new comic book day of Wednesday. Normally this would be the part where we would head out on a bike ride to go pick up our new books, but it was cold on a rain delay. We were under a cloud the entire day, and when it finally, it's also like abnormally, unseasonably cold right now. And I was just like, you know what? Neither one of us feel like it. So, tea's already made. So we'll just get right into it. Sorry. I know. Everyone tunes in for the bike ride. That's why I do it. The destination is just like the place to go. It's the journey. Last week was, I think, out of the month, like, one of the things I've learned in Corner Box Classics is, like, obviously, like, it starts to become, like, they have a schedule. They put certain things out at a certain time. And last Wednesday's books was like, oh, let's give Sean everything that he likes, new comic book-wise, in 1 week. So the rest of the week, he can give the old eye roll and grouse and seem like he doesn't like new comics. But last week, it was like the heavens opened up, angelic light shined down, and I was blessed with so many new comics that I loved. And the number one was Spider-Man, Superman, #1. Man, the A story in this thing was so good. Brad Meltzer wrote it, Pepe Larraz drew it, and it was absolutely 100% a, like, masterclass in writing Spider-Man. And with my limited knowledge of Superman, I would guess that it was equally matched. I'll say this, zero, I don't have a lot of history. You know, I read For All Seasons. I have the John Byrne stuff because I love John Byrne, but I haven't read it yet. That's about it. I like the movies. Well, I like a few of the movies. Anyways, I thought it was good. It was just this great, like, the number one thing that I love about this is that it's built on the 70s Gerry Conway written Treasury Edition. We'll get into Gerry Conway in a little bit once we get through the new books. And the thing that I loved when I read that in like prep, like picked that up recently on the show. And one of the things that I loved about that was there was no, like, multiversal explanation as to why Superman and Spider-Man knew each other. They just did. They're both newsmen, and like, it just plops you right into a universe where, like, Metropolis exists right along New York City, and that would drive. I think sometimes, like, it's a testament to how good this is, that there was no part of my, like, continuity brain that, like, wanted an explanation that would make sense. I just like the idea that they were just like, nope, just, it's comics, man. And this is going to be like a fun Superman, Spider-Man ride. Art's great. Story is super heartfelt. I cannot wait to read it again. And you know me, I hate a symbiote. And I didn't even mind the fact that we got a Superman spoilers, but the book's a week old. I think everybody should have known by now. And all the other stories in it, while the A story was definitely my favorite, I enjoyed the Dan Slott and I believe it's Marcos Martin. The Dan Slott, gotta check the title page here. Oh man, so many people on this. And they're listing all the, oh man. Never mind. I'm pretty sure that it's Marcos Martin. Anyways, it was really good. And then there's a Joe Kelly and Humberto Ramos one that's Gwen Stacy and a character from the DC universe that I don't... that Lana Lang, maybe? Maybe that's it? Is that it? Could that possibly be who that is? Either way, it was a fun little story. Like I said, my DC knowledge is small. A great Jeff Johns and Gary Frank thing. And Superman story that was a lot of fun. Yeah, this was a blast. And normally I would absolutely lose my shit over a $7.99 price tag, but I didn't bat an eye for either one of these because it was worth it. Jam-packed. Super happy that the middle staple, like, because that's when books start to get this thick, you know, you're always losing a page, and that didn't happen with these. So that was exciting. My other favorite, Cyclops #3. This Cyclops miniseries has been an absolute blast. And I was thinking about it today. Like, I was like, man, the thing that I really like, Cyclops, it's very cliche. Cyclops gets shot down while in a plane over an island by, like, a new Reaver. Like, Donald Pierce is putting together new Reavers. And it's basically just him. His visor's obviously broken. That's a great X-Men cliche that I love. And he must rescue a mutant while evading Reavers on this island. And it made me realize that, like, I've sort of been... the Krakoa era started out super strong. And I was all aboard the crazy Krakoan train. In fact, I have that Moira issue where it was revealed that she was... my hope for Krakoa carried me through that time period for a long time. I remember when I read the issue where it was revealed that Moira was a mutant, and that her mutant power was that she was, if she died, she was born with all previous knowledge from her lives. And I read that issue, and I mean, I set that thing down, and I was like, holy shit. This is the high that I have been chasing comic book wise my entire life. From, like, the first time where, like, you're really getting into comics and, like, reveals are new to you and you're not jaded by the game. You know what I mean? You, especially now, like, I sort of feel a little bit bad, not to get, like, old man soapboxy, but, like, I feel a little bad for the younger generation that knows nothing but, like, Marvel and DC and the indie titles, like, doing promotion and kind of spoiling their own books before they're even out. Or, you know, like, I grew up in a time period where it's like nothing got spoiled for me. And it was great. It was fantastic. It made reading so much more fun. And that was one of those books where it was like, I mean, like, I was like, oh my God, like, this is what it felt like when I was a kid. So I loved that initial promise, and I loved that twist with Moira because it made me feel like they could easily just, like, break the glass in case of an emergency and just say that it was all, like, one of these weird lives from Moira, and then the continuity that we've always known was the one life where Moira wasn't born with a mutant power. It made perfect sense. I was like, this is great. They can do absolutely batshit crazy things, and they can get out of it. And then it got too popular, and editorial did what editorial does, and they, you know, the COVID happened, and they stretched it out during the pandemic when everything was paused for a little bit. It gave them time to kind of break further stories. Hickman left, which was a huge, like, that was not good. You know, like, his Fantastic Four was great, his Avengers was great, Secret Warriors was great. When he has an idea for a story and can see it through in the way that he wants to, it might be confusing as all hell while you're reading it month to month, but in the end, when it all ties together, it's great. It's great. It's like the end of Shawshank Redemption. You're like, this is fantastic. But editorial did what they do, and they drug that thing out, made a bunch of mini-series and titles that had nothing to do with it. We got 17 friggin' Hellfire galas where everybody dressed up ridiculously. And, like, I always had my issues with the Resurrection protocols. I thought it was a little weird. And sort of, you know. But, like I said, in my head, which is where I live, I thought that the thing would always be that it, you know, Moira dies, and then boom, she's born a human, and that's our continuity, and this was just a thing that happened, you know, but they pulled in the rest of the Marvel Universe and did what they do. This is all to say that this Cyclops miniseries probably should have been the first thing that they dropped after the Krakoan era was over, and maybe they should have scattered the team a little bit more. Like, I like this idea of him kind of out on his own, and maybe that would have been a do a Cyclops miniseries where he's like, we got what we finally wanted to, and once again it didn't work, and he's out there kind of finding himself. As you have the Uncanny X-Men book where like Rogue and a couple of the other mutants like start looking after some of the kids, and like it's just there was jumping right into X-Men and like doing kind of what feels like an early 2000s schism thing all over again between the teams. And there was like a mini series mixed in there that was like, oh, the assault on Grey Malkin or whatever, where they were fighting each other, and it was just like, we've done this before, and it just felt like a rehash. But I would have preferred a more 80s, like toward the end of Claremont's run, when everyone was split and kind of on the run. I would have liked a little bit more of that angle. And this book kind of has that. And so I'm obviously drawn to it and enjoy it. So there's that. Like, that's, you know, the promise of what the X-Men books could have been has not been delivered. This one at least has like rays of what could have been, and I've been enjoying it. The Amazing Spider Carnage. I'm glad that the Death Spiral thing is, I mean, it's probably not over, but I mean, at least the miniseries, the main event of this across the X books is over. I believe there's like an aftermath issue in the next issue of Venom, so I'll grab that because it looks cover as like Pete and MJ talking. I mean, it wasn't as terrible as I thought it was going to be, and there's kind of one hook in there where the Spiral character kind of dropped a hint to someone that he might be related to Spider-Man, and that's been seeded now leading up to issue number 1000. I'm kind of interested to see where they go with that. So not a total loss, but definitely so far that has been the low point of the Joe Kelly run for me. I'm still enjoying that run, but symbiotes aren't really my my cup of tea. So what are you gonna do? Hulk Smash Everything was an absolute blast. 5 issues of Hulk smashing everything, which was a lot of fun. And that also, might as well bring up Infernal Hulk. I've been enjoying that more than I ever thought I would. I talked a little bit in the last New Comic Book Wednesday video about how I'm kind of looking at it from a, another person's perspective. Captain America has been good leading into the, this Captain America title has been great, but I know in the early days when it first started out and it wasn't in the right timeline, it just threw me off. And then I finally reread the first 5 issues or whatever, kind of going into it, and enjoyed it a lot more. And this being a book that's following up heavily on One World Under Doom, which was an event that I thoroughly enjoyed, I've been digging this. X-Men books. This Rogue book, I've really been liking it. It's touching on kind of her past coming back to haunt her a little bit with something that she did back in the early Brotherhood of the Evil Mutant days. I did have to laugh at this, though, because in this issue, she realizes what she did, which is, it's bad, and it immediately made me think of it's no longer Uncanny X-Men 350 back in the late 90s when they finally revealed Gambit's tragic backstory. I remember as a kid being devastated because the team just was and I get it. Spoiler for a book that's 28 years old now. In Uncanny X-Men number 350, it's revealed that Gambit's big secret that he's been keeping from the X-Men is that he was actually the person who put, he was hired by Mr. Sinister to put the Marauders together and lead them into the tunnels. Once he got to the tunnels and the mutant massacre started to happen to the Morlocks, he didn't realize that's what they were going to do. grabbed a young Marrow and rescued her. And that was sort of like his whole joining the X-Men and becoming a hero was a little bit of like penance for this thing that he did. And so when the X-Men find out about it, when it's revealed that this is how he came to be in their atmosphere, they just dump him in Antarctica. And at the time, I was still, I think it was 97 or 98 when that was released. So I wasn't like new to comics, but I had not read every single X-Men issue. So my knowledge or history to draw on hypocrisy was minimal. That being said, now knowing that Rogue came from the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants, and pretty much everybody else in the team, a good chunk of them have had their fair share of bad things. I understand why the team that was like directly involved in that era of the X-Men might be a little pissed, but I did think it was a bit of an overreaction. So I did get a chuckle when like Rogue realizes that she did something very, very heinous in this particular issue of Rogue to a person who is still traumatized by it. I laughed a little bit because I was like, well, I remember how you reacted, so it is what it is. Wolverine's still fun, dealing with, it's Wolverine versus Hercules, because, they're being controlled by the adamantine. And it sounds silly, but, that's comics. It's fun. And Century number 2. I really enjoyed this issue. I liked it. I liked the first issue, but I liked this one more. And one of the things, the art, I think, is great. It reminds me of John DePaul-Leon, who I just saw a thing the other, he sadly is no longer with us, but this is definitely, I would be shocked if this artist was not influenced by him. Art's great, and one of the things that Sentry's one of those characters that like I was all in on in the early 2000s when he was introduced, and enjoyed his appearances in all of Bendis's stuff, leading up to the end of that character in Siege, and then kind of didn't give much thought to him afterwards until the Thunderbolts movie came out, and I was like, oh man, they did a really good job with that character in the movie. And this falls right in line. It's obviously written by Paul Jenkins, and he's the one who initially came up with the idea of the character. So that's been a lot of fun. So thank you for recommending that, because that was initially not on my pull list. All right, so that was last week's books. This week's books, what did I pick up from the shop? Okay, so Geeky Old Hog. I like that he gets his, he's one of my favorites on YouTube, and he gets his weekly comic haul up pretty early on a Wednesday morning, while I'm still having my morning tea and getting kind of acclimated for the day. He's already been to the shop, and he's recommending solid stuff. So, young Hank he is full on in a DuckTales mood, and has been for quite some time. And while I loved the 80s show, the new one with David Tennant as Uncle Scrooge is a fantastic follow-up and harkens back to the original. So he kind of switches on and off between watching the one that I grew up with and this new version. And so Geeky Old Hog reminded me that this is coming out by Dynamite, and it has been fantastic. And yeah, so the little guy was all excited about being able to get a new issue of DuckTales. So, and I am happy to say that he is, and has been for probably about a year, no longer, like before I would have bought this and set it aside and been like, we'll get to it one day. But now he treats them very, as carefully as a 4-year-old can, but he's no longer ripping them. Another thing we picked up, my mighty first X-Men book. Come on. Is this for him or for me? Who knows? Dave Cockrum art, fold out pages of him punching Juggernaut. That's a bedtime tale and a half there. So now, my comics, we just talked about Captain America 9 because it came out last week, and they already pumped out number 10, which I was like, well, that's awfully nice of them. You know, so pretty excited. Oh, and we're back to Valerio Schiti on art, so I'm pretty excited about that because, like I said, this whole Doom Captain America arc has been pretty good, so I'm jazzed about that. Not jazzed about this. I think it's like I didn't hate the second issue, but that's not a ringing endorsement, and I sort of hate that that's where I'm at with some of these books, where I'm like this, because there's, you know, we're going to go through it all. And I'm going to be doing Corner Box Classics when I'm 70, because I'm going to go through everything so you can see the highs and lows of my fandom with the X-Men and the rest of the larger Marvel universe. But yeah, it is what it is, man. I pre-ordered it because I'm an X-Men guy, and like I said, issue 2 wasn't as terrible as I thought it was, but it's also not fantastic, and it's like I need to get to a point where I just kind of let, like, like the Wednesday reads, like the new comic books that I pick up. My neighbor, he probably only reads like one book, if that, a week now. He's cut so much stuff. Proud of him. But he, the entire time that I've known him as a comic book reader, even when he was reading a lot of stuff, the way that he read it was he would file his stuff to read in like I'm least excited about and saving the good stuff for last. And I would love to do that, but I don't. I put the stuff that I'm really excited for at the top, and then the other stuff sits there, and I need to implement the rule where if it's still there by the following Wednesday, it's got to go. Will I stick to that? Probably not. But it's something to think about. Didn't pre-order this, but I grabbed the last copy of it because I was like, man, that covers a split of Doom and Ultron. That should be fun. Written by Frank Thierry. He's good. I like his stuff. And this looks like it's following up on a bit of a One World Under Doom 2, which I enjoyed enough, where I'm like, oh, I should be checking into this. And I should be kind of keeping an eye on things that are going on with Doom as we roll into, you know, a certain big movie that's coming out this holiday season. Wonder Man 2. Wonder Man 1 was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed Gary Duggan's West Coast Avengers run. It was only like 10 or 12 issues, but it was fun. And so yeah, so I was pretty into this. So yeah, so like I said, it's fun. Wolverine Weapons of Armageddon. This obviously ties into the Armageddon thing that is happening. So first couple of issues have been good, but it hasn't been living up to what I would hope it would. I'm actually surprised that I enjoy the main Wolverine book more than this right now, because I really like Chip Zdarsky's writing, and I am not a big fan of the fella who's writing Wolverine, and it flip-flopped. And last new book of the week, Uncanny X-Men. One of my favorite titles is going on. I think, I know this is like not everyone's cup of tea, and from the chatter that I see online, but this team is stacked with mutant characters that I love. I kind of like the fact that it's isolated, in that like they're in an area where there aren't a ton of other X-Men characters, so it's kind of self-contained in that. I like the new characters that they have introduced, and yeah, I am digging Gail Simone's run on Uncanny X-Men. It is one of the highlights of the X line for me. And then I picked up, so my I have a smattering of the first 20 issues of Marvel Team Up, and then the rest of them in this Marvel Essential. So I am doing my best to make my way through those last, like, 12 issues of Marvel Team Up that I need to pick up. And my shop had Marvel Team Up number 5, which I was pretty excited about, because, you know, you can't go wrong with Spider-Man teaming up with the Vision. And when it's written, come on, script by Gerry Conway. That's gonna segue quite nicely into what we're going to talk about after this. So yeah, I've only ever read this issue in black and white, so I am excited to read it in color. Okay, we got the very sad news that Gerry Conway passed away, and I will tell you that the old guard passing away in comics bums me the fuck out. It bums me out. In a similar way with musicians. But there's kind of this, like, that crew, that, like, initial post Stan and Jack group, you know? Every time one of them goes, I just feel like we lose so much. And I am not gonna, like, there's gonna be a lot of people that talk about Gerry Conway's contributions to the comic book medium, which were many, and fantastic, and everybody, you know, the well that everyone goes to is the night that Gwen Stacy died, and that's great. I had a buddy who used to run a comic book shop. He retired, moved. Comic book shop is still, and for him, that was like the end of comics. Like, he was like, nothing good ever came after Gwen Stacy died, which I always thought was funny. And I know that people are, you know, like, hundreds of think pieces and videos and all that type of stuff are done about that. And so I was going to talk about my favorite Gerry Conway creation. Okay, so I've often talked about this. It is absolutely a core memory for me. When I first got into comic books, I was young and just, you know, my mom was one of the people who was heavily involved in getting me into comics. And one Saturday, after we had sort of exhausted the shops in our immediate area, she woke me up one Saturday morning and was like, hey, let's grab the phone book. Let's look up comic book shops in the state, and we will just spend the day driving around to different comic book shops, see what they got. You know, we got to talk. It was just me and her. It's very nice. Like, it's one of the things that I often think about, particularly, like, you know, when I bust out the issues that I know we got that day. But I often wonder, and this is one of those things where, like, losing her when I did and not really being able to, like, get over, like, I mean, I was a teenager. And so, like, some of my older siblings had the ability to become friends with, and not to say that I wasn't friendly with her. I mean, Jesus, I told her everything. But, like, you know, when you're older, like, you're there's some walls that might come down where it's like the parental kid, you know, might get a little bit more loosey-goosey or whatever. And what I mean by that is, like, I wonder what, like, was it just that she wanted to hang out with me and, like, drive around? Or was she like, oh my God, I'm sick of your dad and I need to get away? You know what I mean? And that's something that, like, as a 44, 45? I don't know. As an older fella, I'd be like, now, if she was still around, I'd be like, hey, you remember that day? Like, was it just that you wanted to hang out? Or, you know, was there something else going on? Anyways, one of the books, So I picked up X-Men number 59, which is a classic. Neil Adams got Neil to sign it. Cyclops on the cover getting blasted by Sentinels, and it's like the last X-Men. That was like the first Silver Age comic book that I ever owned, and I friggin' love it. And I love that that issue is technically the first Claremont work on X-Men ever, because he came up with the idea of, like, if the Sentinels are trying to kill, life, then they should fly into the sun. And it's such a great ending, and that was Claremont. And I always forget, every time that I've met Claremont, I always forget to bring that issue, and I want him to sign that issue. Even though he's not listed in the credits, I know that he is the one that gave that idea to Roy and Neil. And I got Uncanny X-Men number 101, first appearance of Phoenix. My mom was very big on letting my dumbass know that women could be powerful at a very young age, so that I didn't grow up to be a jackass. And so the other issue that she got, that she was like, that looks cool as hell, and I was like, I agree, was Uncanny X-Men number 105, where Phoenix takes on Firelord after Firelord trashes the X-Men. And this is a great Dave Cockrum drawn, with assist by Bob Layton, but Eric the Red gets fired. I mean, it's just, come on, man. It's just good stuff. And so this issue being one of, like, the very first, like, older back issues that I had gotten as a kid in the early 90s. I mean, so it was X-Men 59, Uncanny X-Men 101, and Uncanny X-Men 105 were, like, the first three, like, I mean, these were all issues that were out long before I was born. And this one, like, Firelord, became like, I'm like, oh, I love Firelord. So, one of my favorite, Gerry Conway created Firelord. This is his first appearance in Thor 225. And so when I got the news that Mr. Conway had passed away, while thousands of spines were cracked on the death of Gwen Stacy as people lamented what he did for comics and what a tragic loss this was, I was like, I'm going to be over here, and I'm going to read this fantastic 4-part Galactus sends Firelord to get Thor and Hercules, so that Thor, Hercules, and Firelord can first duke it out in typical Marvel fashion. Then Galactus shows up with no pants. Look at them knees. Look at them. And explains basically, like, hey, Ego has gone crazy, and I need you guys to take on Ego. So then, look at this cover. I gotta get this out of here. Mr. Akins would be like, get rid of the glare. I hate the glare. Look at that. Look at the three of them fighting these friggin' Ego muck monsters. It's fantastic. It's so good. Odin's watching from afar. Like, look at my dumb kid siding with Galactus. It's so good. Seriously, it is a team-up. It's a 4-part team-up between Firelord, Thor, and Hercules, where they get picked up by Galactus. And they, I mean, look at this Galactus ship. Holy smokes. I know, it's not Kirby. It's John Buscema and Mike Esposito. But check out Galactus's ride as he shows up to pick those 3 dopes up so they can blast off into outer space and take on Ego, the living planet. And then, in the last issue of this, and I'm going to bust this one out of here too, has one of my favorite things ever, which is horribly missing from New Comics. You know what would help New Comics? Word bubbles on the cover. You get some dramatic language on a cover in a bubble, I'm picking that issue up. In this issue, Thor, like, takes the place. He's, like, mind melded after throwing Mjolnir through the brain of Ego. He then finds himself in Ego's mind, reliving the destruction of Ego's planet and how they, like, miscalculated this solar flare by 50 seconds, which destroyed the planet. and turned ego into the planet and the collective consciousness of all. Look at it when it goes nova. It's so good. It's so good. And then, you know, he winds up, you know, going crazy because of his guilt over his 50-second miscalculation that wound up destroying his planet. And so they eventually jettison him off. And they're done. And Galactus is like, good job. Good job, fellas. Thanks for the team up. And that's when Firelord's like, hey, man, I don't think that I want to be your herald anymore. And that's when Thor comes up with the brilliant idea of like, hey, let him go and I'll find you a different herald. And him and Hercules prop up the destroyer body because they're like, this is this not living thing that you can imbue with some power cosmic and it can become the herald. And Firelord doesn't even thank him. He just takes off, which is very in line with Firelord. And then he goes to Misty Knight and Jean Grey's apartment and fucks them up. That's good stuff. So, big Firelord fan. Anyways, like I said, I just wanted to... That dopey character holds a special place in my heart. And I love his silly, fun first appearance or first story arc or whatever. And so I just wanted to, you know, I've already passed this time period in Cornerbox Classics. And so I just wanted to touch a little bit on how much fun the first appearance of Firelord is and how absolutely awesome Uncanny X-Men number 105 is. So... I feel much better doing that. And, you know, hey, you got a mini Cornerbox Classics in here with Thor 225 through 228. And I'm telling you, if you were out at a show or your shop and you stumbled upon these 4 issues, pick them up. They're fun. It's like John Buscema art in the first 2 issues. Rich Buckler, I believe, in the second 2. It's just good stuff. It's good comics. That's what we're here for. We want to read good comics. So that is New Comic Book Wednesday. I know. I'm disappointed there wasn't a bike ride either. But we will hopefully be back. I don't care what the weather is. Saturday is Free Comic Book Day. And we're going to bike up to the shop on Free Comic Book Day. And hopefully I will have the Cornerbox Classics issues read by that. So I can check out our trip to Free Comic Book Day, where we're going to eat cake, pick up some free comic books, make sure that we buy stuff at the shop so that we don't feel like freeloaders, even though we're in there all the time buying things. That's what we're going to do. And so there's a Cornerbox Classics coming up this weekend. And then we're back for New Comic Book Wednesday, and yeah, like a week and a half until Motor City Comic Con, and Mark Bagley is going to be there, and I have been like, okay, here's a question. Let me know in the comments, when you go to a con, what is your... So I get everything signed personalized. I'm not a flipper. I'm not... Because I did laugh. I did a search on Gerry Conway's signatures, because he is a creator that I never met, and I did a search where I was just like, I'm curious, and sure enough, there's like one eBay seller that just has like legitimately just so many Gerry Conway signatures, and I'm like, oh, that's the dude with the short box at the show that just, you know, no personalization, no nothing. He's just waiting for this weekend after the dude has passed to throw them up there. Not what I would do, but so what is your, because I am having a tough, Mark Bagley has legit drawn everything, and so many things that were like important, fun stuff that I would like to, you know. So what would be your cutoff? Like, how many things should you get signed? Do you even care? Or what's your like max where you're like, oof, because like that dude did some X-Men stuff, obviously one of, you know, the greatest, like tons of Spider-Man stuff, Thunderbolts, did some good Fantastic Four. So he's literally touched everything. And it's like, I love all of the stuff that he's done. He's one of my favorites. So I got a list, and then I'm like, oh, I got to pare it down. But I'm curious what everyone else thinks that it should be pared down to. So there's my question for the comment section. All right, so you didn't get to take a ride with us, so I can't thank you for it. But I appreciate you tuning in. I enjoy chatting with everybody about this, and I hope that you enjoyed this new Comic Book Wednesday video, even though with me, they always run long. So back this weekend with Free Comic Book Day and Corner Box Classics. And yeah, I'm gonna go read some comics. You should too. Enjoy your comics. And I will see you this weekend.